Hello YouTube, what's happening? Dr. Kemp here, also known as Hammond Doc. I'm going to take some time today to show you how I rebuild a Leslie 122 amplifier. So I have an amplifier here on my workstation desk. Let me show you that. Down. We're going to rebuild this amplifier. Alright, so here's what we have. We have a Leslie model 122. It says Leslie type 122. This is one of the primary types of amplifiers that I rebuild in my business here at Vintage Oregon, Vintage B3 Oregon Incorporated. The others are 147 Leslie amplifiers, the 22H Leslie amplifiers, and the 47 Leslie 47 type amplifier. I also rebuild the 251s as well. Okay. Now, I begin by cleaning the amplifier off. I'll use, you can use, some more expensive stuff, but I found these wipes here at area Walmart, the Super Walmart, my favorite store. My mom calls it my favorite store, and she's right. Hello, Mom. Hello, Dad. I love you guys. So I use these wipes, and they allow me to take the dirt, the top soil off, the top dirt, the dust, get in between the corners here. Wipe this off, rather than sniffing up the dirt, the dust that often accompany these amplifiers. You can just use these wet wipes to clean them off. That way you are handling a relatively clean amplifier. And it's good enough you can even wipe over the paper and it doesn't harm it. And basically you can get almost as detailed as you want to get here. It takes about 6 hours or so to rebuild a Leslie amp. But this is how you begin. This is a part of the charge. When you be building an amplifier for a customer, you want to give them back a clean amp, as clean as possible. So it'll come to you one way, but you don't give it back to the customer in the same way. And even if it's your own personal amplifier that you've pulled from the Leslie tone cabinet, you don't want that amp to look the same as it did when you pulled it, when you put it back in. You want it to look different and hopefully function differently as well. Now, the first thing I do is I'll check the integrity of this capacitor here, this can capacitor. And in order to do that, you have to remove it. So I use this box wrench here. This is a 5/16. there are a couple of screws. It's pretty easy to I mean, this is very easy to remove. It's a little bit tougher to put these screws back in. In fact, the one on the inside here. And then this little shaft here, this little thing just lifts right up, and there it is. A little bracket, 2 screws. Put that on the side. This can, which was manufactured, this particular can was by the Mallory Company. Today we have cans that are being made by CE Manufacturing that replace these capacitors here. Now, we'll get into that a little later. These cans, hope you can see the numbers here, have multiple capacitors inside of them. This particular can, and the ones that are used for the 122s, all those models that I've listed already, 127, 22H, 47, the 147, the 251s, use the same can capacitor, set of capacitors, or the can, we call it a can cap. Uses a 30 microfarad at 475 volts, 30 at 475, 30 at 475, and 10 at 475. So we call it a 30, 30, 30, 40. A 30, 30, 30, 10. Not 40. 30, 30, 30, 10. For each one of these numbers, there is a symbol that corresponds with it. The first 30 has a little half moon type shaped figure, a little hat or half moon type shaped figure. The second one has a square or a box there. And the third one has a triangle. And then the 10 has nothing on it. And these correspond to what's also in the top. And I can see them again in the top. I see for each of these 4 poles, 1, 2, 3, 4 poles, there is a triangle there. There is a square here. This one is the little half moon there. And then this pole has nothing. It's blank. Okay? So those are the poles that I will be checking. And that's what we're going to be looking at. Okay? Let me turn this down. Try to move this so you can make sure you can see it. Now, to do that, get this out of the way, we're going to use the Fluke multimeter. Very, very valuable and important instrument in the assessment process or the evaluation process. Now I'm going to try to set this where you can see the numbers here as I check them. Now, with regard to this Fluke, the 3 major for a dead amp, an amp that's not connected to power, dead amp, there are 2 major measurements that we want to take, or that I want to take here on that amplifier. One, the first one, it has to do with ohms. You're going to do a lot of that. And then the other one is capacitance. So we're going to do ohms and capacitance. To look at continuity, we will use this measure as well. So like if you're going to look at whether or not a fuse, for example, is good, then you look at continuity. So You can turn it to that and determine whether a fuse is good or not. So I just switched it and hit the little blue button there. You hear that sound, and then I can assess a fuse here. So I can looking at that fuse, and I can put I can do this so that you can see. You kind of raise it up. In fact, let me get something here so that you could so that we can see what I'm talking about. Let me get a box. Here we go. So if we put the fuse right there on that box, and you can see what I'm talking about in terms of continuity. Put one in here, one in there. Can you hear it? That's a good fuse, all right? That's an easy check. Now, for the purpose of this, back to what we were talking about, we're dealing with microfarads, and this is a capacitor, so we're dealing with capacitance. And so in dealing with capacitance, you're going to measure it looking at using this little symbol. You learn about this in the electronics class when you take electronics. Okay? When I do a live evaluation of the components of the amplifier, I use this one, the voltage. You turn it to here for live votes. All right, so to check the integrity of this can capacitor, we're going to put this on a ground like this, and then we're going to go around, all the way around. So I'll start right here, right beside it. This is the triangle, and I'll turn it so you can see what comes out being here. Triangle comes out to be 32.1, 32.2, 32.3. Let's call it 32.3. Now, the range on these is 10% tolerance. So you got a 10% tolerance range. So your range is within 10% tolerance. So that's 10% either way. And so what that is if I do it like this, I'm going to write it on some colored paper so you can see it. And I'll do this again on another video. Now, here's where you do it. 30 is the number we're dealing with. So 10% of 30 is 3. And so you add the two together, it'll be 33. 33 is your upper limit. And then you got 30 minus 3, and that's 27. So your range is 27 to 33. 27 to 33. Anything outside of that range would indicate bad capacitance. So 34 and above, or 26 and below. And 33 would be at the upper end of the limit. 27 would be at the lower end of the limit, but within range of the quality of the capacitance. So that would be within the range of a good capacitor. But 34 is outside of the range. 26 is outside of the range. Now, that's your criteria. these numbers, that's your criteria. That's your standard. That's your standard of excellence. That's what you're looking at, is your criteria in measuring these. So, going back here, knowing that that's the criteria, check it. This is on the square. The number is 32.6. There it is. 32.6. 32.6 is within the range. That's within the range. Alright. Let's turn it around here. We can look at, now I'm going to tell you, based on my experience, the triangle is always bad on these old vintage capacitors. Let's see what we get here. 45.2, 45.1. Remember, the upper limit is 33. So 45 tells us that this capacitor at this point, at the diamond point or the triangle, is bad. That's a bad capacitor there. Alright. Let's look at the little moon shape. The little moon, or half moon. 36, 35.9, 35.8. Let it settle. It settles at 35.8. The upper limit, again, is what? 33. So that's bad. That's 2 out of 3 that are bad so far. I can keep my negative pole there. Come on around to the final one. See what we get here. That should be 10. The upper limit of 10 would be 11. The lower limit of the 10 would be 9. 10%. Okay? So it's 9 to 11. This is 15. Showing 15 microfarads. That's outside of the limit. That's 3 out of 4 capacitors in this can is bad. So what would I do with this can? I'd discard it. I'd get rid of that can and replace it with a new can. Okay. On the market, these retail for about 45 or 50 bucks. Okay. They're expensive. They're maybe about 40, 45 bucks. Okay. Move this out of the way. So what do? How do you replace it? Well, it's very simple. This is one of the easier jobs. This is one of the easier jobs on the Leslie rebuild project. In a Leslie Amplifier rebuild project. So sometimes these, when they come to you new, they'll have all of these shafts will be long, including this one here. And in order to fit it on into the slot, you have to cut this off. Okay. And I have clips over here that I use, wire cutters and cutters and so forth, that allow me to just simply boop, clip that right on off. That's all you do. Alright? Now, before I replace that, let's go ahead and let's air blow this. Here's some can of air. Buy that at Walmart as well. It's not very expensive, maybe about $5 a can. This is what you use in blowing out the keyboard of your computer. You can pay much more for these cans of air than $5, but I recommend Walmart. And you can also get you some electronic cleaner. This is I buy this stuff from Radio Shack, and you can spray it. Just a little bit is all you need of the can of this. And about $9 for a can of this at Radio Shack. It's worth having. Contact cleaner. Then you take this can and you line it up. And you can see it here. There's a space for each of those little legs. If I can turn it around here. There's a space there for where it's for the cut off end. It's right here for that little leg that I cut off. Right there. So that's how you would turn it. So it'll fit right down into that, like this. So it snaps right in place. Now, once you snap it in place, you want to go ahead and clean off your bracket. This keeps the can capacitor from moving around. If you have to transport the amplifier for some reason. So you just slip it right over it. Alright. The first screw is never a problem. That one's easy. That one's easy. It's always this second one. So I use these needle nose pliers here in case I need them. Keep them handy, because my fingers sometimes can't get into this little spot. It's hard to get into this. You got to get it into this little spot here. That's where you're trying to get it into. And I'm also trying to show you now what I'll do to make it easier for me to get it is I stand up. And when I stand up, I'm able to put my hand in there, use two fingers, kind of hold it together, because when it falls in there, see, I got it over it already. See, I use my fingers, standing up. I can get it in there. See, I'm in there. Look at that. It's in there. I get too excited. Let me spin it a little bit. Now, oh, I'm working. I'm diving. Ha ha! Look at that, look at that, look at that. Oh, that brings joy to my soul. Isn't it something how something small can bring you so much joy? That's it right there. Now I tighten these bad fellas up. I'm good to go. That's right there. That's about $50 right there. Put that in there. You've done about $55 worth of work already on this amplifier. Just doing that, cleaning it up and replacing that. You've done about $55 worth of work. All right, that's enough for right now, and I'll come back and do some more. Come back and do some more later. All right, peace out.